Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Thursday. I'm Leslie Watkins. I'm going to finish up the box. So if you've been following along for the past several videos, you will have noticed that we have been accumulating quite a few different elements to add to our box, and I have them tucked in here. So I've got a couple of watercolor pieces. I've got the squirrel and the acorns. I've got a sentiment. I've got the beautiful autumn all layered up and cut out. So many of these things have been layered with 2 or 3 layers of cardstock to give them some body. And then I've got these beautiful golden accents. And I've got some additional die cuts. These are leftover die cuts from the sides of the box, which look like this. Okay, and so what I want to do today is finish the decoration of the top of the box. I'm going to be making a cluster to decorate it with, and then I'm going to be filling the box with all the goodies that you've been hopefully watching me make. So now when the easel top box opens, it looks something like this. Okay, that gets propped up, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my drawer and I'm going to flip it over so I have a firmer surface to work on here. So what I want to do first is I just want to decorate these portions here, and I think I want to do a little bit of stamping on here just for some decoration. So for that, I'm going to use this stamp. This is from the Beautiful Pumpkins, and I just want it to be tone on tone. I just want it to be kind of subtle. So I'm using the Pecan Pie ink, which is what this is. I haven't used this stamp before, so I'm just going to take it on a little test run on this scrap paper, and that looks beautiful. And I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. Let me try to zoom in a little bit, get this in the light. So I think what I'll do is just a little swirl. I have to rearrange my, I'm going to use a bigger block so I can get in there better. There we go. Okay, So now I've got that little decoration on the inside, and then this will fold over like so. I could do the same thing on the back. I think what I want to do here is I want to save this panel for a message, so I'm just going to leave that as is for the moment. And next, I want these extra pieces, and I think I've got another one somewhere, do I? Let me get my bag of goodies out and see if I can find a few more pieces of that design. These are just the scraps, and looking for that big one. I think something like that would be cute. Okay, that looks nice. All right, now the top of the box features this layer, and I've already stitched that down ahead of time, and then I have the second contrasting layer which will cover up the stitching that's on the back here, and that's going to be glued down to the lid like that. Okay, so that's going to get propped up. It's going to look something like this. But I also have a second piece that I'm going to be creating my cluster on. Now for this piece, I took some of the plaid DSP, I sponged it, and then I applied the ribbon. And I'm going to tell you the name of this ribbon. I think this is currently on sale on the Last Chance. This is called Gold Open Weave Trim. Okay, and I've just used some tear and tape to hold that in place, a couple of pieces, and I kind of scrunched it and pulled it apart. And then I went around and I also stitched on the machine around the edges to hold that in place. So that looks like this. So to cover the stitching on the back and to add a little bit of a accent color, I've cut out this piece of Cajun Craze. It's just going to give me this nice little 1/8 of an inch border. Actually, I think it's a 1/16 of an inch. Just a pinstripe to pick up the color a little bit. And that's going to be adhered onto here. But before I do that, I have a little bit of extra work to do on this one. So for that, I have collected some feathers. So I've got this beautiful rooster tail feather, and I have a special peacock feather, just one of the little ones, and then I've got a hackle feather from one of the roosters. So I'm going to cluster those on here, something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch them down. So for that I need my piercer, and I'm just going to put 2 tiny holes right there. Okay, and I'll be able to stitch through. I've got my linen thread ready to go here. Just need a little bit. And to hold the feathers in place, I'm just going to add a couple of glue dots. Like so. Okay, and I'm going to begin with this one, and I'm just making sure that I have the main shaft of the feather going between those 2 little holes. And I want the tip to overhang the edge of the layer, but not too far. Just checking my settings here, making sure this is recording, and that looks okay. Just like that. I'm going to do the same thing with my next feather. There we go. And then the last one, like so. Okay, now I'm going to come up on one side of my feathers. I got to push them over a little bit. finding that hole. There we go. Back up through, making sure that all three of the feathers are in between. I also want to keep a long enough tail so that I can tie this. I'm going to go back through again. Okay, now give that a good pull, not too tight, just enough to get it nice and taut. I'm going to put a double knot here. Trim away the excess. Okay, so that's what my little embellishment looks like so far. And then this one is going to go over the top like so. Now, I have several different pieces to go on my cluster here. I want to include the acorns. I have my sentiment. And I don't want to cover up my acorns all the way. I've got my word, and then I've got several little leafy extras here. So I think what I want to do is I want to tuck these behind there. I've got this one, this one, that on there like so. going to need some dimensionals. So I've curled my sentiment to give it a little bit of shape. And to help keep that kind of wave in there, I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals, and I think I'm going to double them up. There we go. I'm going to glue down my layered up acorns. Now I want to be careful here because I don't want to put glue all over. So let me take a good look at this, how this is going to fit on here. That looks pretty good. Okay. Press that down. Now I've got this leaf that I've also added additional layers, and I want to put that over on this side to help raise the surface a little bit so that when I add my word autumn, it'll have a platform to sit on. Okay, and now I want my sentiment to sit right inside of here like so, but on these lower portions of the wave I can add a little wet glue. That's going to help to hold those down. Just hold that for a moment so that sets up. All right, and now I'm just going to add my words. So this beautiful decorative A is going to fall inside this area of the leaves, and this is going to run along the top here like so. So I'm just going to help that bend a little bit so that it adheres to the shape of the wave here. And then I'm going to go ahead and get some glue on there. that up. Get that dimensional out of the way. Hold that down for just a moment. Okay, and then finally, I have some of these beautiful little gold accents, and these are mostly just, you know, just the extra little bits and pieces that I went ahead and cut out when I had all the gold foil paper, the dies, and the machine out. So these are ready to go. I want to tuck that down a little bit in there. Okay, and let's see. Put this one over there.